I listened to the hundreds of thousands of people who sent petitions to my home, said you should do this. You know, I have been very concerned and for a very with our nation and with our government. And why is it that the American people are so restless? Why do they not trust the government? And why have we come to a place where we actually expect that and accept that and say that that's a part of the process? That's why I personally have refused to become a politician. It's why I do not accept money from special interest groups or from billionaires who want to influence the process, and why I never will. I think there are things that are more important than that. And I make no bones about the fact that I am a person of faith. And I believe what it says in Matthew 7:20 in the Sermon on the Mount. By their fruit you will know them. You know people not by what they say, but by what they do and how their lives are led. And I hope that people will judge me by those same standards. Not what I say, but what I do. What has my life been? And I hope you will judge all the other people who are running for this position by the same standards. I think if we do that, we're less likely to make a mistake. We need to think truly about our children. What kind of image are we setting for them? Are we holding up the highest values and principles that have characterized America in the past? Or are we settling for what we consider to be the best that we can get? We can get complete excellence, and we should settle for nothing less than that. Thank you. Let me open it up for questions.
Dr. Carson, are you calling Ted Cruz a hypocrite?
I didn't say a word about Ted Cruz. What I said is what we need to be able to do is look at a person's life, look at the way a person does things, look at the way a person treats other people, and make a judgment.
But you're obviously talking about the rumors that were out there that some in the Cruz campaign were putting out there on caucus night. So this is the reason why we're here.
Well, it's clear that there were people who tried to take advantage of a situation, who tried to distort information. There's no question about that. Senator Cruz told me that he was not aware of that when I talked to him, and that he did not agree with that kind of thing. And we'll wait and see what he does to demonstrate that.
But you don't believe him if you are here talking about the way people conduct themselves.
Well, he could very well have not known about it, but it's obvious that there were people in his organization not only knew about it, but who carried it out, who executed it. So, you know, we have to look at the obvious things that are going on.
Dr. Carson, do you think it obviously affected the result, your result in Iowa, what you're describing?
I think it did, yes. I was getting a lot of intelligence from a lot of different places saying that I was going to do extraordinarily well. And I do think it affected that. There was one instance where my wife went to a caucus, and my representative had already spoken, but the Cruz representative had spoken and told people that I was in fact not going to be continuing. And the people wanted to actually hear from my wife. So she was an unscheduled speaker, and she obviously disabused them of that notion. And they were extraordinarily happy, I must say, gave her a standing ovation, and I won that precinct. Who's to say what the outcome? I don't think we can say what the outcome is, but we can say whether or not we take something like this and just sweep it under the rug and say, it's just the way it is, or are there consequences? Well, I have a tendency, as you've probably noticed over the last several months, not to talk about other people. and what their intentions are and what they do. I will continue that now. Well, I want to continue to make progress. You know, I base what I do on the support that I see, the monetary support, you know, the tremendous support that I have on social media, and what I see in the crowds and in people that I encounter. Those are the things that will tell me, because again, you know, this was not something that was on my bucket list. This is something I'm doing for the people. And so many people everywhere I go say, please, 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 please don't drop out. Please don't stop. We need you. So I will continue to be a voice as long as I feel that that is the case. And the other thing that I really need to emphasize, you know, one of the things that they say represents America is baseball. Have you noticed that in a baseball game there are 9 innings and you don't call the game after the first inning or 2? There's a reason for that.
Just to be clear, we are here because of what happened with the Cruz.
I suspect that that's the reason you're here.
You're the one who called the press.
That's why I'm here. I don't know why you're here. Okay.
Carson, using faith as a way of criticising what Ted Cruz's campaign has done, can you elaborate on that? Why do you use a Bible verse to talk about what Ted Cruz has done?
I'm talking about what everybody does.
No,
When I say,
you were talking about Ted Cruz.
by your fruit, by their fruit, you will know them.
Right.
Okay, that was the Sermon on the Mount.
Right.
And it was in the context where Jesus was saying, you know, there's some people, you know, who aren't what they seem to be, who say one thing and do another, but you can always tell who they are by their fruit,
And it seems
how
to
they
be about
act.
Ted Cruz.
So I'm,
Same here.
you're the one. I'm,
no, I'm
wait,
the one.
no,
You're saying.
listen to what I'm saying. Listen carefully. Don't argue, just listen. Okay. What I'm saying is that you, the press, and we, the American people, have a perfectly good way of evaluating people. We've always had a good way of evaluating people. Will we use it or will we ignore it? Go back to the previous president or the current president. When he was running, were there things there that could have been evaluated that would have told us a great deal if we had chosen to look at them? Probably there are.
Dr. Carson, you've mentioned that people in Ted Cruz's organization were doing this. Should he fire those people? Should he terminate all ties with those people?
Well, let me put it this way. When I discovered that there were things in my campaign that I couldn't agree with after really doing an investigation, I made changes. And I think that's what a good leader does. If there are things that are going on that you don't agree with, you have to make changes. Now, if he agrees with it, he doesn't need to make changes. That would be, you know, it would be hypocritical, wouldn't it, to go against your beliefs. So if he agrees with it, not a problem for him.
Carson, you're asking others to make a judgment on whether Ted Cruz is who he says he is. Do you think he is who he says he is?
Well, I guess you have to preface that by telling me, who does he say he is?
Well, he says his campaign is a revival, which will turn America back to God.
He says he's the choice for evangelical voters. Are you saying that they should reconsider their support for him, given what you're alleging?
I'm saying that evangelical voters, just like everybody else, should listen to what I just said and evaluate a person on what they do, how they treat other people, and that includes myself. I want people to evaluate me on that basis also.
Did Ted Cruz apologize to you?
Yes, he did.
What else did he say?
Well, he said obviously he didn't know that people were doing this kind of thing in his organization, and he didn't agree with it.
Do you regret announcing that you were going to be going back to Florida and spurring some of this confusion?
Well, I didn't make that announcement. I guess somebody talked to other
Well, your
people.
campaign
You know,
told the press.
I didn't say it, so don't blame me.
But you're here telling us that people should know what's going on in their campaign and hold people accountable. I mean,
Is
do you
it,
regret that
well, let
message?
me ask you this question. Is it okay after being on the road for almost 3 weeks to go home and get a fresh change of clothes? or is that a problem? Does that make somebody into an evil, horrible person?
Do you agree with that term?
Again, I think I've said what I want to say on that. I know you guys like to create a mud fight because that's fun.
No, we're just wondering what you.
You know, this is the problem with America today. We've become like ancient Rome. Everybody wanted to go to the Colosseum and see the blood and the gore. Oh, this is exciting, while their society was crumbling around them. I think I've stated very clearly what people need to look at and how they need to make their evaluations.
Dr. We have time for two more questions. Have you spoken to anyone else from the campaign, in particular Congressman Steve King, who tweeted out that you were dropping out on Monday night?
I haven't spoken to him. I did speak to Rob Taylor. He's a state representative in Iowa and was our campaign chairman there. And he has called upon Representative King on multiple occasions to clarify, to apologize, and he says he has not heard a word from Congressman King.
Dr. Carson, tomorrow you're...
I hear a voice way in the wilderness over here. Where is that? Okay.
Dr. Carson?
Paul, you mentioned, or you asked, you know, are there consequences for this kind of behavior? I guess just to follow up on that, are you suggesting that there should be, and what should they be?
Well, I think I just said, when I did a deep dive in my organization and I found that there were problems, I made changes. That's what you have to do, unless you agree with it. Again, if he's in total agreement with it, then he doesn't need to make any changes.
Paul, you're going to be returning to a venue that perhaps helped launch this campaign. Can you talk about...
Well, the National Prayer Breakfast, I assume you're talking about, because I'm going to a number of venues tomorrow. But, you know, it was a very interesting ago at the National Prayer Breakfast. But one of the things that I'm going to be doing tomorrow is meeting with a number of state leaders from other places and just, you know, talking about America, the world, their countries, what things we have in common, and how do we make progress in the world. That's going to be one of the main focuses of my going there. All right, thank you all.